Just think about comic books, MMOs, and all this. My favorite comic book. One Dan McCloskey gave me. There's a comic book. But back to anything, just to start off. The back of Savage Sword of Conan, which is what Dad gave me back then. And before they had any, so far as I knew, actor, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Mr. Olympia back then. But point A, hey, weight training, bodybuilding, he's fitness guru, human being of his own day and age. However, I never met the man, however, on camera. Wow. Anyway, all things gaming back then, they used to play chess over the mail. You know, that things get lost in. Since the dawn of the 80s and the computer, you might think this stuff is easy. It never was. You have a tool that enables people to still, again, I know for a fact some emails aren't delivered, whoever, however, whatever, lost the address. And then I know for a fact I've thought I was speaking to somebody on a phone and it wasn't them. Their voice was mimicked some other way. Doesn't matter. That somebody out there in Surveillanceville ruined something nice for people to play games with. Because they used to play chess over the mail. The way I see it, even before they wrote Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook or anything like it, they're playing tabletop games, with those little soldiers that now you go and you paint, die cast metal and things like that. Things at Hobby Lobby. G.I. Joe was that tall. He was 2 feet. In our generation, he was like this. It was made in Taiwan, or however you look at it. It got away from them. They think they ruined something nice in some way. That's okay. Just because you're a victim, I'm a victim. Lots of people have been victimized. You kind of assume these are not new problems in society. These are not new problems in humanity. And eventually, it's more than money. It's about people's lives. But here we eat. So anyway, the kid now sick, and he brings back home Savage Sword of Conan. And I liked it because the first time I read it, it's kind of blood and guts for one thing. But it's the three fates of Conan. And so Conan, God love him. And in the back, honestly, they're playing Hyborian War, that game. There's a game now for Conan. It's an MMO of sorts, but they were playing it over the mail back then. Do you want to choose a faction? All this. So my generation started playing games at a young age because that's what people did. Not realizing maybe you're even a user test market just for being born in the 70s, but that's what they did. Like, shrug. I didn't do it. It was there before we were. So my first phone number, whatever, it moved. It moved a lot. Now you have a cell phone. Regardless, it's a way to communicate, even if things get lost in between things. Gaming, MMOs, they kind of hoped it would get there. Music, they hoped it would get there. Now it's very simple and easy, and everyone has aesthetic critiques, this, that, and the other. And there's a volume of just crime on the networks. The servers are storing evidence of crime. I'm sorry, there's a justice component to this too. But let's take it back to Conan before they ruin something nice, which again is showing you bloody, disgusting, knocked out by a Mickey Finn evidence of people that have been victimized, okay, in their little friendship, anything but a friend circle of people. Hey, it's nothing new. The Mickey Finn's bar is still in like 1915. They did this kind of thing. It's called assault. Really, now you just have not just audio surveillance, you have surveillance you have servers sitting on, built for logic to go, there's evidence of crime right there. Guy's knocked out. You can say consented. Woman's knocked out. Say she's a model. Wrong answer to this man. So anyway, They ruin something nice. Because again, there's Savage Sword of Conan. No one wants to go out and chop heads, but again, it's funny to look at back then. So in Three Fates of Conan, he goes into this witch doctor's hut. Like there's this kind of like necromancer's village. And what the necromancer has done is take revenge. This was originally his forest. And it was, a city grew up around him, and he took the head of every single person in the entire city and put it in formaldehyde on like racks. And Conan marches in going, pretty spooky village you got here. And he comes in to meet this guy, goes, wow, a lot of heads you got. I heard you wanted to meet Conan. And the witch doctor's like, Conan, just the man I ordered. And so he puts a spell on Conan. And the witch doctor starts playing tarot. And he chooses three fates. And it's like Conan dies some grisly death. Conan mates with some woman that gets thrown into a pit, dies some grisly death. Conan arrives almost like into this mind controlled village by the sea that's, stalked by sea monsters and dies some grisly death. And so at the end, Conan just kind of like breaks the mind control spell and throws his boot knife through the necromancer's head, and then all the spirits of the dead release themselves into this gigantic ghost over this kind of like evil old castle and moat and city that's just a necropolis. You call it a necron because everything's died thanks to the witch doctor. Anyway, so at the end, Conan picks up the card, which is, and there's this legend in Conan, swear to God, it's perfect circle kind of stuff, where Conan, you're such a manly barbarian, one day you'll be a king. And that's Conan's favorite joke of all time. So he flips over the card, and there's the Emperor tarot card, number 4, and it's Conan sitting on a throne, and he just starts throwing his head back and laughs. He throws the card down, and the last frame of the comic book is this Emperor card, Emperor Conan, and Conan doesn't believe in empires or emperors or one man ruling above everybody else. It's what makes Conan a barbarian. So I always say, Conan a king. Who is this king? He should meet Conan. Because Conan is a barbarian. That king doesn't know what a barbarian is yet. But back then, just like everything, you may have heard, have somebody who did whatever in gaming and not. And yet, I'm convinced the day you spoke into a telephone, they heard everything in your house in 1980. So had they let that go on, again, you're sitting on evidence of things, and yet 50 years later in my lifetime, because I'm a 47-year-old man, like it or not, there's a reality check to the justice system because they're sitting on mountains of evidence. You can't convince me who's who or whatever now because it's too late, right? For me, myself, and many people I don't want the shame of any of it, I guess. And yet, you've already ruined people and ruined something nice through the telephone networks, built a mountain of evidence you can do nothing with, and enabled people to just play games all day and work towards kind of, I don't know what to say about it. People have a conscience, You Mickey Finn your entire fraternity, that's assault, They have a conscience. They might wake up and go, why would I have ever done that? Right. It offends people, is my point. It offends people. You're doing nobody a favor in the end with the evidence sitting on servers of blackout drunk, I'll say it rape, and that's a vacation to you. I don't see what gave them the right. Peace.